I guess we'll just start with some questions and wait for some people to join us.
Okay.
All
Oh,
right, so those of you tuning in, welcome to the very last stop on the Kiss of Deception blog tour with the lovely Mary Pearson. Yay! Round of applause. So this is the last stop. If you have not read her book yet, I have been flailing about this for quite a while since I read it months ago. I was very lucky to get an advance copy, as you know, and I love this book. So I'm going to ask the cliche, annoying question first, Mary, if you don't mind. I want you to describe your book in 5 words or less, but I'm a cheater, so if you need more than 5, I'm okay with that.
I figured you were sort of easy on the rules, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. For anybody who's watching, this is a Google Hangout virgin tour for Kelly and I. We've never done this, so thank you for being patient. 5 words or less. Oh, that's hard. I wrote a 500-page book. For goodness. I would say mystery, adventure, romance, steam, and history.
Love it. I especially love the romance portion, which actually, for those of you who haven't seen my post on my actual blog about the blog tour today, I was fortunate enough to go to the book launch of this amazing book, and it was so nice. Or amazing snacks. I just got to throw that out there. So would you mind repeating the story about the inscription and dedication of the book and kind of why you wanted romance to be an element in this warring world that you created?
Oh, I would love to. Okay, let me grab the book really quick. And,
Oh, I should have warned you. I should have prepared you.
yeah, a little shot of my rear end there. Um, okay. The book is dedicated to my husband. It says, "For the boy who took a chance, for the man who made it last." And I wrote that because my husband and I met when I was 16 and he was 19. We met at a camp up in the mountains, and it was it was a church camp, and we'd both just gone up there for the week, and we were hanging out with the whole gang. It was a church camp, so there's only so much you can do, but we were sort of kind of maybe checking each other out a little bit here and there. But then on the very last day, he said, "Hey, you want to go for a walk?" And I was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I think I do want to go for a walk." And so we went for a little walk. It was actually, even back then, very, very romantic, through the woods, and we stopped on a little bridge, and he asked me, "Would you like to go to my parents' 25th wedding anniversary with me?" And I was kind of like shocked because that's like a big first date. I wasn't even sure if he was going to ask me on a date, and that was like, your parents, I'm going to be in all the pictures and everything. What if this doesn't go well? And so I feel like, it's really hard for a guy to do some of this stuff. So he took a chance and asked me out, and that was 40 years ago. We just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary in June. So actually 42 years ago, because we knew each other for a couple years before we got married. I'm a big believer in love. I know that love doesn't always go the way we want it to, and sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4 times to find your true love. But love is what makes the world go round. It truly does. And I love writing about people trying to find the right person.
Oh, I love that. I remember you said something else at your launch that I love, that even in worlds that are at war or there's always like destruction, people are always falling in love. And I love that.
Oh, yes. It's like one of those timeless things. With even just now, with all the things going on in the world, there will still always be 2 people who will find each other and fall in love. So it's one of those things that's timeless and everlasting, thank goodness.
Oh, I love that. All right. So speaking of romance, still, your book is swoony. I mean, there are some really good kissing scenes. Why have to know what is your inspiration for writing these swoony guys? Because I love them.
Well, I think I always just sort of look like at the chemistry thing, and whenever you meet someone, I mean, there's that. I try to kind of zoom in on that chemistry, and there is definitely chemistry going on between some of the characters, and uh, I do work out some of the kissing scenes and the logistics with my husband. He works out of the house quite often when he can, and so I will pull him aside. I say, honey, I need you to hold me here and do this, and so sometimes just to figure out, if this the logistics of what I'm trying to do will actually work, and he really likes helping me out on that part of my writing. Uh, but it's definitely, yeah, I just imagine what it's like to be meeting somebody for that first time and all the nervousness, and that's the, kind of the fun part.
The butterflies
Yeah, the butterflies.
and the spark. There's some sparks there.
Yeah, well, you never know quite how it'll all work out between two characters, but then it just kind of starts igniting and you feel it. So, yeah.
I'm excited for more.
Oh, you'll get more.
Oh,
There's more.
this is when I like grin maniacally. I'm like, yes, I can't wait. Oh, and if I didn't mention before, you guys can ask questions too. Those of you awesome people that are joining in with us right now, there should be an ask question button on your screen. So if you have any questions for Mary, type it in. That's what we're here for. So the thing that, well, besides the swoony boys, the thing that I love most about your book and what I found so unique was the way it's written, with that kind of like mysterious, not really sure who's who. Did you set out to write it in this unique way, or did it kind of evolve as the story started?
I wanted to do it that way from the beginning. I started out writing it in third person, and I realized I could not do it in third person, so I had to switch to all firsts. And I wanted to do that for a number of reasons, and really not so much for a twist, but one, I wanted the reader to experience exactly what Leah experiences as, when she finds out. I wanted to put the reader into Leah's shoes completely. The other thing is I didn't want, if I said right away who was the assassin and who was the prince, you kind of then, you could just dismiss one of them. And this way you have to give that person a chance without judging them based on their past. Leah was getting away from their past. They got a moment to get away from theirs too. So it was really sort of about giving the reader the chance to be completely in Leah's shoes and giving these two guys a chance.
Love it. I thought that was so cool. I remember as I was reading and I kind of figured out that we weren't going to know for a while, I was like, oh my gosh, now I definitely can't put this book down. I couldn't put it down before, and now I definitely can't put it down.
I read somebody who they couldn't stand it, and they flipped to the back, and they figured out who. I can't remember who that was. Jenna Does Books, maybe, or it was one of the bloggers on the tour, and she couldn't stand it, and she flipped to the back to see who was who. Don't do that.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. The suspense is good. And it doesn't even take to the very end to find out.
No.
Oh, I just had a train of thought with that, but now I lost it. Oh, well. With all that said, when you were writing, was there a specific part that you were most excited for readers to read, to get to? Like, oh, haha, I cannot wait until they finally get to this part. Or a certain scene that you really loved writing that you were excited about?
Oh, well, yes. Page 300. Everybody, I crack up whenever I see somebody tweeting or, saying, oh, I just got to page 300. And I shouldn't give that away, but
I'm going to go look now. I'm like,
Yeah, what's there? I don't have to go all the way to the end. But yeah, because I definitely knew that that moment was coming, and I wasn't sure exactly where it would happen, but um, I knew it was coming, and I just could not wait to write that. I almost had it all down in my head, and as I'm writing it, you know, as Leah's heart's pounding, so was mine. I'm going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was fun to write. The
I love that.
reveal,
And
that's what I'm talking about.
the big reveal.
The reveal, yeah.
I was totally thinking, I think I tweeted you in the middle of while I was reading too, like, all right, are we gonna find out in this book who is who? Because I don't know if my heart can take not knowing when this book closes.
Well, it's so much fun to, you know, that's one of the nice things. Sometimes in the past you would meet readers, you know, weeks and months after they've read the book, and watching people tweet going, what's happening? What is this? What's going on? And just hearing their reading process go on it's fun.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And I know that a lot of bloggers and readers, especially throughout the Twitter world, have really loved your book and how it was written and that mysterious vibe to it. Are you surprised with how much of a shock and how unique people found that? Like, were you anticipating that kind of response?
I really wasn't. I thought it would probably be like I figured people would not know 100% for sure, and maybe it would be about 50-50. Uh, but I was surprised at, yeah, how it went and just how much of a twist it kind of turned out to be. So, but I think it did serve its purpose, I hope. I mean, you can tell me that you didn't just dismiss one of the guys or the other,
Oh.
and our preconceived notions of, you know, what a one person should be like or another. So yeah, I was surprised at the response. It was good.
It was, and I know that that's when I've talked to my friends because I read it almost immediately when I got it. When I got it from Macmillan with the letter from Ksenia saying this is a fantastic book. Whenever she sends a letter with the book, I've noticed it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And she sent a letter with this one, so I read it almost immediately, and I forced on all my other friends that got like, oh yeah, I should read that soon. I'm like, no, read it now. And then I'm getting text messages and tweets like, well, who's who? Who's who? I'm like, dude, just keep reading. Just keep reading. And I love that because it's like, you're like, just keep going. Just keep going. And it's so good.
Well, that's been the wonderful thing is the word of mouth has just been bloggers like you. Thank you so much. The word of mouth has just been incredible, and I have been completely amazed. I was talking to a librarian at my launch, and she's amazed, just like I am, how wonderful bloggers were about not revealing, you know, letting the other readers experience. I mean, and it's hard. I mean, it's really hard to write a review without giving away too much. I have a hard time even speaking without giving away too much. So kudos to the bloggers. Yay, you know. The reviews have just been so careful and making sure they don't steal from the experience of other readers. So thank you.
Which is a surprise because there have been more than on one occasion I've noticed with, big books coming out or new books coming out where there's always somebody that spoils something.
Yeah,
so I think that's awesome. Yay. Yay us.
Yeah, yay you is right. And I think sometimes when people do what is not a spoiler to one person is a spoiler to another. So, I think there's that reason why sometimes people give things away. It just didn't occur to them that it might be a spoiler. So.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right, I see we've got some viewers down there, so if you guys have questions, type them up. I see you. Well, I don't see who you are, but I just see that we have some, so.
Type in your
Join
questions.
the party. Yeah, bring the questions. It should pop up on here. I'm waiting for them. Bring them. Do you have music or anything that inspires you? Like if you had a theme song for this book, anything that come to mind or?
Yeah, I have about 200 songs. I've never really counted. I'm just guessing, but I have a ton of songs on my iPod, and I always go outside, put in the iPod, start typing, And it just depends. I have sublists of all my playlists, like the times I need really romantic things, or things that are just like, you know, a background noise. But a couple of my go-to songs, one, I love Evanescence and My Immortal and Breathe No More. Those are just real moody, atmospheric kind of songs. And then I also have just from different soundtracks of movies. I'll pull a song here, pull a song there as background. And then I also have some music that is just sort of this like hum chanting kind of sound that's just in, you know, definitely background. It's almost like spa music or something that I truly don't hear, but it covers, it masks all my surrounding sounds. So yeah, I always have music because it just definitely sets the mood.
I love it. I love Evanescence. I can definitely hear it is a very angsty, moody song. I can totally
Yeah.
see that being like, yeah, let's do this.
Oh yeah, and you know what other song I love is Adele's Love Song. That's also just,
Oh,
even though
yeah.
it's sort of not that, it's not quite as atmospheric, but you know, just very kind of a sad, moody song.
Those are good ones. I like the angst sounding songs.
Yeah, yeah.
With this huge world that you created, I mean, and we got the map now in the
Yeah.
finished edition. It looks beautiful. Did you have any specific inspiration on about like the terrain? Did it all just kind of flow through your head while you were writing?
Well, the I had a real specific terrain that I was following, so I knew, you know, that Leah would be in, you know, go from a seaside area to a desert area to a mountain area to savannas to eventually end up in Benda. So I had it all very specific, and I knew exactly how far it would, how far she would travel each day and how long it would take to. I'm really kind of anal when it comes to that stuff, so that everything is exact. And so when it was time to actually make the map, my publisher asked for the my maps that I had drawn. Well, my maps were like magic marker, basic, you know, X marks the spot of this, this, and this. So, and I said, you do, you know, this is just real basic stuff, but I handed it all over to them. And then Keith Thompson, who's, oh my gosh, like the best artist, map artist, he's just wonderful. He did some initial sketches, and you know, I was always sort of like, oh, what's this going to turn out like? And as soon as I saw it, I was just like, oh, I was melting. I mean, it was just so beautiful. He could have just stopped right there, but then there was a couple little tweaks I asked if he could possibly make just so it would follow through the story. Otherwise, I might have to change the story a little bit. And he very, you know, he changed that. And then Macmillan, Anna Booth, who works at Macmillan, she laid in all the type of the various kingdoms, the name, and all of that. So yeah, the map I was just like blown away with, and I adore, because I'm like such a map person.
It looks
Here,
awesome.
let me hold it up. Here. So that everybody can see. Let me see. There we go. Yeah, isn't that beautiful? Can you see it?
Yep. I love it.
Pretty. And then the other side has the Kiss of Deception. So they give these away at various conferences and for various things. So.
I love it. Do you like the cover? Do you have any creative say in the cover? I know you were saying how you had your own maps that you kind of help inspire the main one. Did you have any say in the cover?
Well, my editor did run it past me. What happens is my editor and I always start, when we're starting to get to that point, we start talking about what kinds of possible images would be evocative for the story. And, you know, it was really hard to come up with anything specific for this one. So this kind of came, you know, we mentioned, just some of the terrain and the fact that she's, a princess and horses, and there wasn't a whole lot to offer up. And we didn't want it to be just a literal translation of the book. So they played around with it, and I saw some initial sketches, but it was very, very close to this. And I went to New York on a trip, and my editor goes, "Oh, I think we have a possible cover," and she showed it to me, and I was blown away. It's just beautiful. So, and then when they first did the graphics for it, oh my gosh, Rich Dees is the art director there at Macmillan, and he came up with and I'm sort of a font geek. Besides a map geek, I'm also a font geek. And he came up with the Kiss of Deception graphics, and that was what was on the arc. And I thought that was just absolutely so gorgeous. It's like, okay, you can stop now. We can just use this for the cover. But then they went ahead and they, obviously added the picture, and yeah, it's an incredible cover. I love it.
I do too. I like the color scheme, and like there's little hints of stuff in the background.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I've been surprised because, and it might be kind of hard to tell, but if you look there's Leah, and then in the background, let me see if you can see, maybe not, there's, sorry, there's two figures.
I'm looking, I got mine here.
Okay, there's two figures in the background, and I think a lot of people thought they were two men, and actually the one on the left is a man, and the one on the right is a woman. So, and she's by a horse. But to me, I guess, if you're looking at it online on a screen, it might not be obvious.
Yeah, because actually one of the little, like, offshoots, the coolness, that the little spikes, if you will, kind of goes right through her face, actually, kind of on your... But I still think she's clearly a woman.
Yeah, well, you can tell. It looks like she has a dress on, so...
Yeah.
Shoulders and everything, so... Yeah. I think it's Pauline. Don't you think it's Pauline?
Oh, totally. I love Pauline. I love her. I love this. And I'm not usually a fan of, like, real people on covers, and this is, like, maybe my one exception to the rule, because I think it's just perfect. And I always highlight with the corresponding color for the title, so I highlight in green.
Oh, how cute. I love that.
I need to match. I'm anal retentive like that.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not the only one who gets kind of geeky when it comes to things like that, so.
Oh, no, this is like Geek Central right here. So obviously, let's talk about Leah for a second. I love Leah. And I think what I love most about her, and you talked a little bit at the book launch too, is her feistiness and her ability to really not take anything from anybody, any CRAP, from anybody. Did you set out to make her kind of a little bit of a sassy heroine?
I set out to make her have a mind of her own. I wanted her to, she's someone who has a voice, she wants to speak as she should, but she's very often stifled. And so I wanted her to be, her own woman, and not afraid to speak up. So, sometimes her sass would surprise me too. I actually don't want to call it sass, because she's speaking up when she's supposed to, and but sometimes I'll crack up as I'm writing. I'm going, oh, you shouldn't say that, but yeah, say that. So,
I love that. I love the strong heroine that will speak up when she needs to, and I think that a lot of young girls that are reading this, I think she's a great heroine to look up to, and kind of, you can have your voice, you can say what your opinions are, and still be a woman. I love that.
Right, and she's still very, obviously she wanted to marry for love. That's one of the reasons that she took off, is she loves men. She wants to love a man, but she, she's her own person too. She doesn't need a man. So.
You actually stole my next thought right out of my mind. I was looking at my a copy of the book, and the parts that I dog-eared and underlined, because I like to underline my favorite quotes and go back and kind of, relive my favorite parts from when I first read it. And those are some of my favorite lines of the book when she was saying she wants to be loved for her, and not because she's a first daughter or, a princess. And I like that kind of juxtaposition of, I have a voice, I'm strong, but I also want, I want to fall in love. Like, I love that about her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, don't we all want to be loved for who, for the real us and not what we are? She's kind of in this weird position, this elevated position, and she's not always, oh, I think I'm losing you.
Oh,
No,
we
you're
cutting
there.
out?
You're back. Yeah, so, she wants to be loved for who she is, and I think she has every right to ask for that.
I love that. In her position, yeah, you don't really get that with all the arranged marriages and being in her position. So I love that that was what she wanted. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, good.
And with that, so I also got the theme of like choice. Obviously, the very opening of the book is her making a choice to kind of deny and go against the destiny that her family had set out for her. So you get the free will versus destiny and fate. Do you think one outweighs the other, or do you put more stock in one versus the other?
Well, I think we can also make our own destinies. Free will versus fate. It's really hard because I think our lives are always a combination of both. Even though we may want to do one certain thing, life intervenes and takes hold of us. So sometimes, if you want to call it fate or whatever, it makes our choices for us. But I think we can also control our own destinies. And you mentioned about choice, and that was a really big thing for me as I was writing, because I think I'm still shocked that this is the 21st century, and there are still women around this world who do not have choices. There was the kidnapping of all the girls in, I can't remember which country it was, but because they wanted to go to school and they wanted to be educated, and so they were, that choice was taken away from them, and they were, given off in marriage, and this is the 21st century, and things like that still are happening. So, this may be sort of a medievalish setting book, but I think it speaks of things that are happening to women all over the world today.
It does like that. It is kind of shocking to think how far we've come in so many other aspects of culture, and there
Exactly.
are still places where it's completely backwards.
Yeah, I know. It's, there's just so many things that, the world still sometimes seems a little backwards in many, many ways. So, a lot of those things come into play as I'm writing. But
I like that. All right, I still see viewers on there. If you guys have any questions, submit the question. They'll pop up, and I can just read them off, and then it's not just me hogging all the spotlight right now.
Come on, you guys. Type in your questions. You can do it. Or maybe they don't know how. Maybe they're having a hard time just like we did.
I know, maybe. I looked it up before. I think it should be a blue box. Be the first to ask a question, and it will appear below. See the box, guys? Ask the questions. All right, let's talk more about the swoony romances. So, because your romance is so amazing and epic, what are some of your favorite literary romances, or book boyfriends, I like to call them, as everybody else does?
Goodness. Oh boy, some of my favorite literary romances. Well, of course, it's not really quite as swoony and as happily ever after, but of course I love Scarlett and Rhett. I think that's just like one of the, they were just always at odds with each other, but they obviously had, feelings for each other, and the whole chemistry, and so definitely them. And oh boy, I'm not really good at remembering all the. I read so many romances when I was in college. That was one of my favorite things to read. And but a lot of the ones I've read lately, of course, are it's like, oh, it's not working out so good for them. I love the one in the Grisha series with Mal and Alina, of course. And I haven't read the last one, Ruin and Rising. That's sort of my my treat once I finish my revisions. So I know who I'm rooting for, but I don't want to know yet.
Oh, I just read that not too long ago. You've got to get there. All
Oh,
right. So, um, it looks like we have got a question I'm waiting on. Apparently, people are asking and they're not popping up. So let's figure out how to do this, Mary. And by
okay.
we, I mean I, because I've got
We
to figure out how this goes.
we didn't. Some people may have come in late, but we did say that we are um, virgins when it comes. Oh, I see one. I see questions. Do you see?
Oh, no, I don't. All right. What's the question?
Oh my gosh, they are coming up. Okay, they're on the left-hand side of the screen, and you sort of have to scroll up and down. Okay. Um, when Jamie Arkin asks, when will we get book 2? I need it. Oh my gosh, will you come over and help me write it, Jamie? No, actually, I have to say, The Heart of Betrayal, now that I'm done with all my blog tour things, I am getting back to revisions. It's done. The draft is done, but now I'm doing all the revisions and, you know, making it better. So it will definitely be out this time next year. So you'll get it this time next year, same time. I wish it could come sooner, but, you know, I can only type so fast. Okay. Um, and Jess Chili's says, I'm reading the book right now, and I'm about 30% through. I'm loving the book, but yeah, this not knowing who is killing me. Oh, you aren't going to get any sympathies from Kelly and I. We, but I'm glad that you're loving it, and you're almost there. It won't be much longer. And Aaron Arkin says, what was your favorite part of the book to write? Well, there was a lot of favorite. Writing the end was probably my favorite part. Um, but I would say, I loved alternating between the characters because it was always sort of kind of exciting for me to see how their perspective was going to differ from the previous chapter, whoever had been speaking, whether it was Caden, Rafe, or Leah. And, it sounds like I didn't know where I was going, but I didn't. I knew where the story was going, but I didn't know how I was always going to get there and how each of the characters was going to react to different events. So I loved writing the various perspectives. But probably before you bounced in, Kelly and I were talking that I loved writing the part that Jess is anxiously waiting for, and that's the reveal. So when we get to the part where Leah finds out who is who, I had that in my head for so long, and I just could not wait to write it. So that was a really fun scene to write. My heart was pounding as I wrote it. Oh, I can't hear you anymore, Kelly. I see your lips moving. Maybe if you type in a question. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay. Let's see. Brianna asks, maybe as we're trying to figure out the sound, I'll answer another question. Brianna asks, where were you at when you first came up with the idea for the Kiss of Deception? Oh, I haven't been asked that one. That's interesting. Where was I at? Well, you know what? I think I was probably at a lot of different places. One thing I've mentioned is when I was thinking of writing this story, I wrote down 15, it was about 15 inspirations that I wrote to my editor, because everyone always says, what was the inspiration for the story? Well, what happens is it takes, a couple years to write a book. Well, this time it's only taking me a year, but it takes a long time to write a book. And usually by the time you're done, so many other inspirations have jumped in that whatever, however you started, you can't really remember anymore. And sometimes the things that maybe pushed you to write a book, they fell by the wayside and are no longer really evident in the book. So I wrote down these 15 inspirations, and I have to say one of them was that I wanted to write a book that had absolutely no technology, because I had just finished a series, The Adoration of Jenna Fox, Fox Inheritance, and Fox Forever, and they were, near future and far future books that had tons of technology, and I did lots of research for it. Excuse me. So by the time I was like, oh, I finally put, the last book to bed, it's like, oh, I want to write a book with no technology. And so The Kiss of Deception does have, a little bit of technology, but nothing like my prior series. And then there was just other things. One is I have received hundreds of letters for Scribbler of Dreams, which was the second book I ever wrote. And it was a romantic novel. And everyone always wanted a sequel. Well, I knew I would never write a sequel to that book. It was done. But I knew really what they wanted was a romance. And I always knew that one day I would write another one. So a lot of the ideas that I had been thinking about kind of all came together. I also wanted to explore things about how much the world changes and how much it stays the same, like Kelly and I were just talking about. The world, as much as progress as we make, there are some things that are timeless. They never change. And one of those seems to be how much we can hate each other and all the terrible things we can do to each other. And the other thing that seems to be timeless is how much we can love each other, no matter what's going on in the world and all the horrible things that are happening in the wars. There are always going to be people who fall in love. Love is timeless. So, that was also some of the inspiration for the story. And I wanted to have that female sensibility and perspective on the world and life, and that romance is not, it's part of our world. It's part of our I don't want to say goals, but we all look for somebody who will love us for who we are, and I wanted to, and that's how Leah came to be. She wants someone to love her for her, not for what she is. So did that answer? It came from a lot of different places, Brianna. I still can't hear you, Kelly. Ah! Okay, maybe it's on my end. But you can hear me, right? We may have to do smoke signs. Let me see if I can. That's so weird that it just stopped like that. Okay, I do have more questions. You want me just to keep going with more questions? Okay. Hey, she's pretty good at this. I love it. Okay. Jamie asks, did you have to cut anything out that you wish you could have left in? I did cut out little tiny things, not a whole lot. There was a scene with Leah and Pauline where they were, sitting on the tavern porch, and they were kind of laughing about because all of Leah's trunks had been sent off to Dalbreck and to the the prince's kingdom, and they were sort of laughing about how by now all the clothes had probably been burned and what what the kingdom of Dalbreck had done with all of her things. So it was a fun little scene to write, but the book was getting pretty long, and so I kind of cut back on little things like that it gives you a little bit of more characterization, but it wasn't absolutely necessary.
I like it. I still can't believe you can't hear me.
I hear you now.
Oh, yay! I didn't even click anything. It's whatever.
It's magic.
It's magic. It is. When we go back and rewatch this on YouTube, where it's going to be pretty hilarious.
Hey, I think we are doing a pro job.
I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And Monica, if you want to ask your question, oh, she did ask a question. I can see it now. Yay! Can you see Monica's question, Mary?
I can. Do you have any advice on world building?
Question.
I think one thing is to draw your world out. It's very helpful for me to actually I draw not just maps of the big.
Uh-oh. Oh no, come back. Oh, did we lose something? No, that's not what we wanted. All right, guys, how do we get back here? Huh. Okay, I don't know if you guys can still see me, but I'm having a little technical difficulty. I got knocked out too. So I'm going to get us back there. Why isn't it popping up? All right, trying to invite Mary back because I think I might still be live. Okay, I think we might be in business. Give me 1 second.
Why isn't it popping up? Mary's back. I think I might still be live. Okay, I think we might be in business. Give me 1 second. Why isn't it popping up?
Mary. Okay. 1 sec, guys. Okay. Okay, got it. Sending me the join again. Take me to this call that I'm already in. Yes. There he is. Okay, sorry. Okay. All right, guys, just sent the invitation again. Let's see if we can get this back in gear.
Okay, got it. Sending me to join again. Take me to this call that I'm already in. Yeah.
Oh, this is so frustrating.
Okay, sorry.
All right, I have now re-invited Mary several times. I don't know why it's not going through to her though. Grr.
Alright guys, just sent the invitation again. Let's see if we can get this back here. Join again.
All right.
Kelly, I think we're working again.
I invited Mary several times. I don't know why it's not going through though.
Oh, are you there?
I'm here.
I thought I saw you for a second. Oh,
I can't see you, but I hear you.
okay, I can see you and hear you. Yes? Can you see me, Mary, or hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay.
And it says
Well, you're lucky. I can see and hear you.
Okay. Well, just go ahead and are you getting feedback?
I can see and hear you.
And you're not getting
Kelly,
feedback?
it's working again. I invited Mary. Oh, are you there?
I'm here.
I thought I saw you for a second. Oh.
Let me ask. I'll see if
Okay,
anybody.
I can see and hear you. Yes?
Oh, Kelly joined the call. Oh, I think that we're getting closer.
Can you see me, Mary? Or hear me? I can hear you, but I can't see you. Well, you're lucky. I can see and hear you.
Okay, this feedback is killing me.
Go ahead and are you getting feedback? I can see and hear you. And you're not getting feedback? Yeah.
Can everybody hear us?
I think so.
Hey.
Oh, this is too funny.
Let me ask. I'll see if
Put a question and just let us know if you can hear it. Maybe we should move over to Twitter.
Maybe. Let me tweet you. All right, guys, if you can I'm going to be a hashtag kiss of deception. So if you have more questions, let's move over there and finish it. You know, we're both virgins starting. Thanks for tuning in, guys.